Hey guys, welcome to a new video. Like, comment and subscribe if you enjoy. Without any further interruptions, enjoy the What If. Chapter 11. 4 Junin sat in a dimly lit bar. One looks exhausted, one bored, one anticipatory, and the last looked quite youthful. The quad of notable Junin sensei were all waiting for the guest of honor to arrive, but as said guest was delayed, they'd started the party early. All noticed how tired Asuma looked. Well, tired and frazzled, as if he'd been having a difficult last few days. Guy was the first to remark. Your youthful flames need replenishing, Asuma. Asuma grimaced at Guy's booming voice but couldn't deny the observation. He wasn't feeling the least bit youthful. I'll be fine, although if any of you is interested in trading kunoichi I'll gladly consider it. Kurenai frowned at Asuma's statement, having learned a little about Ino from Hinata. She was under the impression the Yamanaka heiress had been taking her training and vocation more seriously. She didn't get a chance to voice it, as Kakashi beat her to it. What has Ino done? Naruto talks about her often and she doesn't seem all that bad. 5 days ago I would have agreed with you. She was just an eager genin wanting to learn new things and train to be better than the girls of her generation. What happened to change that? Well, the Sarutobi was surprised to see Ino there so early. She looked calm, ready but entirely too calm. He labeled it youthful overconfidence and didn't think too much more about it. The pair stood in silence after a brief greeting. Minutes passed and the boys were bordering on late. Asuma bit onto an unlit cigarette as he watched the final 2 members of his team arrive. He could tell something was off. Choji had a thin layer of sweat forming on his face and Shikamaru looked not just lazy but actually tired. He knew they weren't the hardest workers but they were both pretty fit for genin, so that confused him. Ino, however, remained composed as she stood across from them. All right, this is a friendly spar, so no death blows and no maiming, anything else is fair game. Any questions? His students all shake their head in the negative, so he gives permission, then you can begin. We quit, Shikamaru said, stopping Ino in her tracks. What do you mean you quit? You haven't done anything yet, Asuma barked, truly disappointed in his shinobi. I don't know how, but Ino poisoned us. Ayan can barely think and Choji is already breathing heavy. This is too troublesome. Shika finished before he flopped on the ground with zero grace, Choji following right behind him. Asuma absorbed Shikamaru's words but couldn't fully comprehend them. He knew what each word meant separately, but together, Ino didn't really poison her teammates to win a bet, did she? He turned to his lone kunoichi and saw her donning a large smile. I did it, Asuma-sensei. I even understood the secret lesson. Secret lesson? He asked while quirking an eyebrow. Yay, you wanted me to treat this as an assassination mission, that's why I had Shika's and Choji's moms poison them both and got blackmail material on Choji. Choji grimaced at that but didn't have the energy to protest it. He'd live in fear later, he needed a nap. What? He yelled internally but said, good job, Ino. She nodded. Asuma was in the process of re-evaluating the Yamanaka. She wasn't afraid of hard work but her reasons were oft immature. He assumed her desire to learn his signature weapon was for similar reasons. And while he didn't mean for her to derive a deeper meaning from this that she had was impressive, that she would poison her teammates was concerning. That this change seemingly happened overnight was even more so. Asuma would spend the next hour talking to Ino as she undid all of her unused traps, from pitfalls meant to sprain ankles to tripwires that triggered all manner of projectiles. She even had explosives and flash bangs prepped. Once finished, he walked her through some beginner moves with his knuckle knives. They were a poor fit in her smaller hands but he resolved to have her measured for her own pair. A deal was a deal. She really had her teammates poisoned the night before a spar? Kurenai asked in mild disbelief. Yep. To win a bet, she pressed. To complete a mission, Asuma corrected. She really looked underneath on that one. Wonder who could have put that in her head, Asuma mused while giving a pointed look at Kakashi. I've never spoken to Ino a day in my life, Asuma. Oh, not you, that blonde brat of yours. Ma. Naruto-kun is far from a brat, Kakashi said with an eye smile. You'll see, Asuma, he is the chosen one. The chosen one for what? Kurenai asked but Kakashi simply waved her off. Before she could speak again, Guy chimed in. Ino's flames of youth burn brightly. Guy, take it down a notch or 12, Kakashi requested. Sorry. Yay, whatever. Because of him, I now have to watch everything I say. Worried Ino will get some hidden meaning I'm not actually communicating. It's all so troublesome. You sound like you're Nara, Kurenai pointed out. What can I say? The kid has a point. You haven't long since gotten back. Kurenai, how was your mission? Dreadful. Sounds like there is a story there, Kakashi said and watched the Genjutsu mistress frown. 3 siblings tried to kill the others for their inheritance and fail, getting stranded in the process. We escort them back home where a 4th sibling, our actual client, accidentally kills the 3 murderous siblings with a crossbow. In his distress, the final sibling takes his life and the town rejoices as that money now goes to the public coffers. Shino actually laughed at the absurdity of it, and that was the most unsettling thing of all. Damn, Asuma said but wouldn't get to expound as the lady of the hour had finally arrived. Enko Mitarashi walked into the bar, not in her usual attire. Instead, she wore a spaghetti-strapped black cocktail dress that stopped just above her knees with matching heels. Her hair was actually down and the torture expert was flashing a wide grin. You guys start without me? She questioned as she took a seat. Not really, though it is very Kakashi-like to invite us out and arrive late, Asuma observed. Sorry, I got held up but I'm here now so let's celebrate. She exclaimed and watched Kakashi flash through several hand signs and flaring his chakra, causing a simple privacy barrier to emerge. Now, we can celebrate without any unkind ears listening in, nay. The copy ninja said. Yosh, we must allow our youthful flames to burn brightly for Enko's newfound freedom from that dastardly snake. Guy bellowed, causing everyone to wince. So loud, but he's right. Here's to Enko, finally being free of that cursed seal, Kurenai added. All raised their drinks for their friend. So Enko, how did you manage such a youthful accomplishment? Did Jiraiya-sama have a breakthrough? I think you know it wasn't Jiraiya-sama that removed this from me, Guy. It was Kakashi's brat, Enko said and saw Kurenai and Guy smile, one in fondness and the other in acknowledgement. Kakashi had no outward change but she knew how proud he was. She was surprised to see Asuma initially frown before covering it. Are you finally going to share how it happened? Kurenai asked. She'd known Enko had been free of the seal but the special Junin hadn't relayed any details, wanting to save it until her outing. Sure, but keep in mind I understand the Fuinjutsu about as well as Kakashi understands proper decorum. Enko-chan. I understand it perfectly well, I simply don't care. Sure, so it happened like this. Enko entered the Hokage's office, having been summoned, with no idea as to why. She didn't like having her interrogations interrupted but withheld any complaints as when the old man called you answered, no questions asked. She was not expecting to see 2 of the 3 Sannin and 2/3 of the Elders' Council present along with the Fuinjutsu Chibi. The atmosphere was tense, though none of the ninja present allowed it to be shown on their faces. Enko bowed. Hokage-sama, she offered neutrally. Thank you for your prompt arrival, Enko-chan. I requested you here to inform you we are now able and ready to remove your seal, Hiruzen said with a kind smile. Enko allowed herself a small smile but no other show of the elation she was feeling. When can it be removed, Hokage-sama? Now, a decidedly younger voice said. Now, she asked in surprise but the blonde never took his eyes off the Hokage so she looked back at the village leader and saw him nod. Well, now seems to work. Is there anything she needs, Naruto-kun? To go home and shower, removing the natural oils of the skin helps the ink adhere to the skin. Also, a list of preferred foods and drink. Once you're ready just report to the same facility I initially reviewed your seal. And you're confident you can do this, Gaki? I will not fail, Naruto said, his eyes never leaving her own. She nodded and departed, thankful for the run home to help remove some of the giddiness she was experiencing. Enko took her shower, being thorough just to make sure nothing would go wrong. 30 minutes later she was entering the Anbu facility and saw the chibi outside the sealing chamber, informing her it was a clone and taking her food and drink order before disappearing into the tunnels. Once she entered the sealing chamber she saw various symbols drawn on the walls and one table awaiting her, along with the chibi and Tsunade-sama. Hey, what's Tsunade-sama doing here and where is Jiraiya-sama? While we are confident we know how the seal will react, We don't know how your body will. I am here to ensure any complications that arise can be seen to immediately. As for Jiraiya, he is not needed. I have walked him and 2 other adept seal users through my designs and each have cleared its use. Would you like me to walk you through the process, Anko-chan? Yay, sure. The main array will consist of 3 layers. The first is to remove the independent consciousness, sending it to a pocket dimension that will implode with said consciousness. The second will siphon off that energy contained within the seal into an independent storage seal. Lastly, all other functions will be dismantled and the seal will be unraveled. Anko listened intently to Naruto's words, nodding along, but something occurred to her. You said the main array, is there more? Yes, I will graft a partial, supplementary chakra circulatory system onto yours. It will be how the seals for the errant consciousness and the unstable energy will be removed. I also have developed seals that will keep your body still and relaxed. The calmer your chakra flow is, the easier this will be, and stillness will aid in that. Finally, Tsunade-sensei will use medical ninjutsu to anesthetize you, but if you should need to awaken immediately, I have a seal for that. Okay, that's a lot. But how did you manage it? We were alerted to a substance that can produce a special kind of chakra ink. It will make it possible to trigger the seal in a controlled way and ultimately remove it, Tsunade answered. Anko nodded at the small blonde again. What do I need to do? You have to remove your clothes so I can paint the seal, Naruto instructed, and then stepped out of the room. Why did he bother to leave? He's going to see it all anyway. Anko asked and watched the slug Sanin shrug. It's pretty standard at the hospital to give your patients some privacy. Being naked and getting undressed in front of someone can feel decidedly different. Oh, when he called you sensei? Yep, he's my student for the time being. Kid is going to give me a complex. I really need to up my training, Anko said, removing the last of her clothing. She was considered talented. It's what drew Orochimaru to her, but clearly, the blonde was operating on another level. Anko heard Tsunade knock on the door, a signal Anko was undressed and the Uzumaki returned. He wasted no time drawing the seals on her. Utilizing a team of clones, the ink felt cool against her skin. After about an hour she was lying on her back, drifting off thanks to Tsunade's medical ninjutsu. Her last image being of unbelievably blue eyes looking into her own, not an ounce of apprehension or doubt to be seen. When Anko awoke, it was 5 hours later and her senses returned in sequence. First, she felt, and not how she expected to. She felt warm, intoxicatingly warm, and heavy, but that too was pleasurable. She thought she could just curl up and sleep forever, but her sense of smell came back and the aroma of dango called to her. Not even the promise of endless sleep could match the seductress known as dango. Next came sound, as she could hear someone gently shifting around her. Finally, she opened her eyes, the bright light making her squint. Welcome back, Anko, Tsunade said. Did it work? Anko asked. She was alive, so the seals couldn't have completely failed, but that didn't mean she was free and her chakra felt too chaotic to check herself. Yes. Naruto removed the cursed seal. Anko willed the tears away from her eyes. She was internally joyous, but she refused to cry even in happiness. She'd wasted too many tears over her sensei and promised she'd never do it again, not even at the severance of their final bond. She hastily moved on from thinking about him. She no longer had to think about him at all. She was untethered, unencumbered, free. Her life was truly hers once again. Anko listened to Tsunade as she gave her a medical rundown. Apparently, it'd take a few days for her chakra system to settle, but once it did, she'd have her fully chakra capacity back, and outside of maybe needed to train her control again, there weren't any significant issues Anko would have to contend with. When Tsunade asked if Anko had any questions, she only had two. Where's the Gaki? I sent him home. Removing the natural energy from your system required your chakra and it be in near balance, but your reserves weren't large enough for that, so Naruto had to transfer some chakra to you. Transferring raw chakra to someone safely is incredibly taxing, even when he had a seal prepared to aid in the transfer. Once the cursed seal was removed, he was wiped and needed rest. I can't believe he did all of this for me, Anko said. Tsunade laughed, momentarily confusing Anko. I know it may not be obvious, but if you really get to know him, you'll find he's a very caring young man. He simply doesn't express it as most others would. He reminds me a lot of my great uncle. No offense, Tsunade-sama, but I was always told Nadime-sama was emotionless. Oh, he could appear to be. But he also used to sneak me sweets behind Mito Basama's back when I was little. People like that, they show they care by what they do. Why would he care about me? We'd only met once before Jiraiya-sama had him check my seal, and it was more confusing than anything. You'll have to ask him yourself. Now, is there anything else? Yay, why do I feel so warm and kinda weighed down? The effects of a jutsu. Tsunade snorted. Yay, Fuinjutsu. It's the blanket, it has weight and warming seals on it. He said you could keep it if you like it. I really do. Count yourself lucky. I'm still waiting on mine and I'm his flipping sensei, Tsunade said in annoyance. I did let him see my tits, Tsunade-sama. Tsunade gained a tick mark, wondering if the little pervert had bumped Anko to the front of the line for that very reason. And I've just been taking it easy for the last few days. But it's gone, it's really gone. That sick fuck was bested by a 12-year-old and it makes me smile every time I think about it, Anko concluded, causing Guy to shed manly tears of youth. Kakashi sat there, listening intently, and realized Anko didn't know the whole story. If she had, I wonder how she'd feel about Naruto blackmailing a Sannin for her. Jiraiya, he recalled, was not amused at all by his godson's ploy nor the immediate response when confronted. Where's Kushina's brat? Jiraiya barked at Kakashi, confusing the copy ninja. Jiraiya looked genuinely angry, and that he referred to Naruto as Kushina's and not Minato's was a sign his favorite student did something. I don't feel I can, in good conscience, lead you to my precious student when you're like this, Kakashi replied lazily and saw Jiraiya's facial features tighten. The brat is threatening Ika, Kakashi, this is serious. And Jiraiya was right, this was serious. How could Kushina's son do that? How had he done it? Kakashi didn't care, he just needed to find Naruto and set things right, maybe levy some punishment for this grievous act. Kuchio's no jutsu, Kakashi said, slapping his hand to the ground. Without ceremony, his entire Ninken pack was there, awaiting orders, not threatening his Ika. Find Naruto, and once you do, one of you alert me, Kakashi ordered, and watched his summons depart. We'll set this straight, Jiraiya-sama, don't worry. I'm not worried. I'm going to wring his little neck, Jiraiya replied and continued to mutter several more threats. 5 minutes later Bull returned, ready to lead Kakashi to the betrayer's location. They moved rapidly toward Naruto, arriving after a short commute, and watched as Kakashi's summons turned on him. The no-good mutts were lying on their backs, getting belly rubs from shadow clones as, he assumed, the original Naruto was speaking to Sai. Kakashi ignored the traitors as he dashed toward Naruto and lifted him up by the back of his jacket, the short blonde now dangling in Kakashi's grip as he faced his sense. Hatake-sensei, he greeted. Don't Hatake-sensei me, Naruto. Why have you threatened the Ika? Tell the truth and your punishment will be light. Naruto squinted and tilted his head until he saw Jiraiya approaching and realized Jiraiya snitched. I require Jiraiya to act in a manner he would prefer not to, so I obtained leverage to coerce him. What kind of leverage? Kakashi asked, just starting to realize he hadn't known how Naruto was threatening the Ika. I bought the publishing house that distributes the book series. I will not allow any future releases or reprintings of existing editions until I get what I need. Now, that threw Kakashi for a loop. It was damn impressive, and in almost any other situation he'd buy the kid a present for being a damn fine shinobi, but his most prized porn was on the line. Kakashi was torn, his pride as a sensei and his perversion were at war, and he didn't know what to do. He needed more information. Naruto, what do you need from Jiraiya so desperately that you would go that far? Those who disobey the rules are trash, this is true, but those who abandon their comrades are less than trash. Jiraiya was making me less than trash, Hatake-sensei. This threw Kakashi for a further loop, an additional loop. Loops abound, as Naruto wouldn't joke about those words or use them mindlessly. Kakashi wasn't sure Naruto could use any words mindlessly, but certainly not those. Kakashi dropped Naruto, allowing the Uzumaki to walk past him. Have you come to be of assistance, Jiraiya of the Sannin? Naruto asked, and all present could hear the slight recrimination in his voice. I don't give in to blackmail, Naruto, not even for a worthy cause. You should have just been patient and trusted me. I don't. Naruto replied. Excuse me, I don't trust you. How could you? And you don't trust me. Naruto finished and watched an unknown expression form on Jiraiya's face. Is that what you think? I don't trust you. Yes. Jiraiya appeared torn, starting to speak but stopping before any words formed. The Toad Sage sighed, realizing he might have alienated his godson with his inaction. The toads have a special oil that conducts natural energy. I know a process to make it into ink. And you've known the entire time? Naruto asked. Yes. Before Jiraiya had gotten the one-syllable word out completely, Naruto had already summoned his staff and was attempting to brain Jiraiya. Kakashi was too fast and grabbed the other end, lifting Naruto off the ground and robbing him of a majority of his power. Please release my staff, Hatake-sensei. No can do, Naruto-kun. You should hear Jiraiya out and not just attack him, that's very much unlike you. I need not hear his justification, I already know. He prefers I not alter my seal and realized this toad oil would be a means in which I could. To prevent me from achieving one goal, he forced Anko-chan to languish as I failed at another. Is this correct, Jiraiya of the Sannin? Yay, kid, that's it. Minato gave. I do not care. Jiraiya flinched as if struck by those words. Seals either work or they do not work. Sentiment does not alter that reality, nor does it give you the right to tell me what I can do to my body. If what you do threatens the entire village, yes I do. You could weaken the seal, Naruto. And I would die. I am uninterested in death, therefore I have great motivation to make sure any additions or changes I made were thoroughly researched. If this were about the danger, you would have looked over my preliminary array, but you did not. Minato sacrificed. I do not care. Well, I do, brat. He was like a son to me and I won't let you go mucking around in his final work because you think you can do better. The seal works as designed, and as long as I have your key I won't loosen it so you can make changes. I have already made another key, I do not need your permission. You do to get the toad oil, I'll make sure they won't supply you and I'll only give you enough for Anko's procedure. You could have always done that, me merely knowing of its existence doesn't mean I know how to procure it. I find your irrational behavior vexing and wish to no longer be in your company, Naruto said, resealing his staff and landing on the ground and turning to Kakashi. Hatake-sensei, I understand those books mean a lot to you and my threat to shelve them were only an opening gambit. I had other methods to gain compliance but they will not be necessary. As it is within my rights, I name you the editor of all Ika manuscripts until further notice. I request, in return, 2 Doden Jutsu of B rank. Sigh, I will see you soon but I find myself in need of solitude. Good day. Naruto didn't wait for any response, simply departing in a shunshin. That was a real dickless move, Sai said to Jiraiya, and the Toad Sage sighed and departed, his shoulders slumped as he did. Hey Kakashi, you still with us? Anko asked. Ma, did you say something? He asked in response. So hip, Guy said, and Anko merely snickered at the Cyclops. Anko, you never told us why you were late, Kurenai reminded her. Oh, I wanted to thank the Gaki as I hadn't seen him since he removed it. It seemed he was in the middle of a sleepover of sorts. I know I saw at least 3 girls in his apartment. Unseen by all was the last Hatake doing a small fist pump. He knew he had chosen wisely, Minato-sensei's son couldn't fail. The gentleman pervert was well on his way. Haku sleeps with me sometimes because she gets cold, Naruto said to his guests. Anko had spotted 3 but there were actually 4 girls in Naruto's apartment, Hinata, Ino, Haku and Tenten. The first 3 were there to cheer up their friend as Haku informed the others about Naruto's argument with Jiraiya. Tenten was there, initially, because she was impressed with the seals Naruto provided his team which aided in their mission. The budding weapons mistress was unabashed in her desire to get some of that sweet fuinjutsu. Since he had them present, Naruto asked their opinion on the mattresses and bedding he planned to provide for every bedroom in his furnished apartments. They all liked the mattress, a nice firm mattress that still had decent give and support. It was when Hinata asked about Naruto's inspiration for the heated and weighted blanket that he let it slip that Haku, sometimes, would share his bed. The Uzumaki assumed her bloodline simply made her run cold, and Haku allowed him to think as much without ever truly confirming it. She just liked her Naru snuggles. Hinata noticed the slight changes in Haku's otherwise angelic facial expression and concluded the Yuki was full of it. Not one to come in second or be denied, she hastily called for a sleepover, rushing out with Ino to get some new sleepwear as well as inform her clan she would be visiting a friend for the night. She was lucky her father was out himself so she didn't have to answer too many questions, as was the same for Ino. The two heiresses were walking back to Naruto's apartment when Hinata had a minor realization. This could be considered an impromptu celebration of your win, Ino-chan. Yay, I guess so. I haven't done something like this since Sakura and I ended our friendship, Ino said with a hint of regret. There is time for you two to make up, Hinata reassured her. Besides, you need to show me the ropes, I've never done this before. The Yamanaka hated how not surprised she was by that. She had responsibilities and expectations as an heiress but not to the degree as Hinata, only worsened by her early shyness. She resolved to introduce her newest friend to a bit of youthful normality as spending the night at a friend's house was a rite of passage. Don't worry, Hinata-chan, I'll walk you through it. It's mostly just staying up too late, eating junk food and gossiping. I doubt I have much to gossip about, the Hyuga lamented. And we will certainly have to fix that, but what I want to know is who was that hot chick all up on your man and why was she so thankful to him? Hinata had a faint blush. Naruto-kun isn't my man, yet, we're just best friends. Oh, so you inviting yourself to stay over isn't an attempt to sleep in his bed like Haku has? Hinata adopted a stern visage and replied, it is below a Hyuga's pride to do such a thing, and then broke out in snickers when she saw Ino become momentarily horrified. Never use the Hyuga mask on me, that's scary. Sorry, Ino-chan, but I had to get you back for teasing me about Naruto-kun. The two kunoichi continued to chat as they reached their destination and were greeted by Haku, in a soft pink kimono. The Yuki also had 3 whisker marks drawn on each cheek and some bunny ears atop her head. Welcome back, Haku greeted as she ushered them in. As they entered they saw Tenten, having the same whisker marks and panda ears, talking to Naruto, wearing fennec fox ears, about something, though she sounded more pleading as she rocked the bowl of popcorn on her lap. Naruto was engaging, perfectly calm as he too had a bowl of goodies resting on his lap. Come on, Chibi, tell me where you got those restriction bead thingies. I made them, Tenten-san, but they are still prototypes. I haven't submitted them to the village quartermaster yet. How good are you at Fuinjutsu? I do self-study but it's slow going. When did you start? I started when I was 8 after Iruka-sensei introduced the topic at the academy. And how good are? Tenten pressed. The blonde's teammate said he made those beads, though from Kakashi-sensei's reaction, the pinkett wasn't supposed to say it. Good for my age, Tenten-san, Naruto answered and heard a series of snickers behind him. He turned to see his first 2 friends had returned. Hinata-chan, Ino-chan, you're back. You have to try this concoction. What did you call it, Tenten-san? Puppy chow, and just Tenten is fine, Naruto. Oh, okay, Tenten. But this is incredibly delicious, and Tenten didn't even measure anything, she just used her imprecise eyes and yet the outcome was stellar. How are you so excited by this and not the tagless Fuinjutsu you use? Tenten asked in exasperation, amusing the other girls in attendance. Those were pretty easy to make, honestly, and I've never had this, puppy chow, before. My Oji-san always recommended fruit when I wanted something sweet. What do you mean, easy? I looked at the seals, those were not standard and they were not painted on. Chakra etching is advanced, most sealing adepts never learn it, Tenten said, voice becoming elevated at how obtuse the boy was being. Oh, they should, Naruto said in response, not realizing he was driving his guest mad. Tenten, you should understand that sealing simply comes easily to Naruto-kun, so he doesn't understand how truly impressive some of the things he can do are, Hinata added, trying to placate the girl. Besides, achieving the proper ratio using your eyes is much harder. Tell me, Tenten, how do you know how much peanut butter to chocolate to use? I don't know, Naruto. Practice. The Team 9 kunoichi spoke to the boy who seemed more enthralled with a simple party snack than any normal person should be. What's with the whiskers and animal ears? Ino asked, seeing a lull in the conversation. Haku chose to respond. Tenten said that these types of things often have themes, and given Naruto-kun is hosting, I just thought it would be fun to mimic his adorable whisker marks. There are two more in the bedroom for when you get changed, and taking the hint, Hinata and Ino exited to the bedroom. The two return, each wearing camisoles, Hinata's lavender, and Ino's lilac, and black pajama pants. Hinata had a pair of cat ears atop her head while Ino had dog ears. Haku thought it'd be insulting to get pig ears. When they returned, Haku spoke. Now that everyone is here and appropriately dressed, Tenten grumbled that as she was in a baggy shirt and shorts, the other girls making her feel a tad self-conscious about her appearance. What do we do? Well, Ino started. Usually it would just be a lot of gossip about cute boys, though in the academy it was just Sasuke-kun. Just Sasuke? Asked Tenten in disbelief and saw Ino nod. Honestly, it sounds creepy in retrospect, but I think him being a blank slate let us attribute whatever narrative we wanted. An ideal crush. Ah, a lot of girls were like that with Neji. He was last year's prodigy graduate that all the girls fawned over. Even I had a bit of a crush on him. Had. What changed? Asked Haku. I'm around him all the time. He's talented and will be an amazing ninja one day, but he treats too many people around him like they are less than, including our teammate Lee. Cute looks and talent don't wash away being a jerk. If he ever resolves his crap, who knows, but for now the spell is broken. What about your other teammate, Lee? Inquired Ino. Tenten chuckled. Lee tries harder than anyone you will ever meet. He gives his all at everything, including being a supportive teammate, and is a great friend. I just wish Guy-sensei would encourage Lee to be his own person and not a carbon copy of himself. Tenten finished with a huff. What about you, Hinata? How's your team? Good. Shino-kun is really smart and level-headed. Kiba can be brash but keeps our spirits up. They both work well in teams, so we mesh really well together. Do you just see them as teammates, or is there some potential there? Tenten asked. Before she could answer, Hinata noticed a certain blue-eyed Uzumaki was now giving her his full attention. She shook her head while replying. No, we'll be good friends, but I don't see either of them like that. She suppressed a giggle when Naruto returned to munching on the puppy chow. You're both lucky. My teammates are so unmotivated. I get it with Shikamaru. He understands everything so fast that it's nothing to move through life without much effort, but one day he's going to come up against something he can't understand or outthink. Choji is so passive and he lets Shika do his thinking for him. Worst of all, I got labeled a fangirl, so they dismiss me when I say we need to train more. So, now, I have to just kick their butts until they listen to me. What about you, Naruto-kun? He asked, wordlessly as his mouth was full. Tell us about your team. What do you think of them, Naruto-kun? Hinata asked. Naruto quickly swallowed and then began to stroke his chin in thought. We are not close as a team. The dynamic between Hatake-sensei and I is good and I enjoy his teachings and presence. Sasuke-san often seems bothered by me, but as he won't vocalize the issue nor how he feels, I cannot say what the exact problem is. Sakura-san can sometimes be quite amiable but other times seems upset with me, given she shouts at me, but I am unable to deduce a pattern and therefore a reason why. She also seems reluctant to defy Sasuke-san, which makes her distant during missions. We work well enough together, but we often require Hatake-sensei to unilaterally resolve disputes. There is no real synthesis between us and I often feel cold on the inside when in their presence for prolonged periods. I think I am the issue, but I do not know how I am the issue, so I can't help resolve it. I wish, like each of you, I could find friends in my teammates, but outside of Hatake-sensei, I doubt I will. All the girls frowned at Naruto's words, Hinata more than the rest. She admonished herself for not asking sooner, sometimes forgetting that simply because he does not complain doesn't mean nothing is bothering him. His team's dynamic is clearly off, the team lacking the bullheaded loudmouth she has in Kiba and Ino provides for her team. Instead, it seems each person just works around the others and does it long enough to complete missions. Not ideal, as when placing your life in the hands of others, this type of teamwork only has the appearance of professionalism, but it was an illusion. Once you make Chunin you can change teams, Naruto-kun, Hinata said in response and saw a spark of something in his eyes. Do you think I could work with Sai? It's a possibility, Hinata answered. I would hate to leave Hatake-sensei. He has a lot left to teach me, but I think it would be enjoyable to work with an actual friend. We still haven't really hung out with Sai, Naruto-kun, Ino said. Oh, well Haku has, but I'll try to arrange something. Maybe a training day and a picnic. That's what we normally do. I'd be up for it, Ino answered. I would like that as well, Hinata agreed. Tenten, I know we may not be friends yet, but you would be welcome to join us. Sure, some new training partners are always welcomed. And, you can bring more puppy chow. Sure, Naruto, she said, rolling her eyes. And maybe you could add some peanuts. He pressed, ignoring the snickering of the other girls as none were used to seeing him like this. Yay, I mean in theory you can add anything you want, she said, waving her hand dismissively. Naruto's eyes widened slightly as he responded, you can. Yes, Tenten responded, laughing as it was simply too cute. The quintet continued to chat throughout the night, Naruto dismissing himself at one point to get the bedroom arranged. He returned 20 minutes later to inform his guests the sleeping area was set and all followed him back. None of the girls were expecting to see the sleeping bags they brought arranged as one sleeping apparatus, and they certainly didn't expect to see them levitating at equal height with Naruto's bed. This momentarily broke Tenten. Okay, you know what? No, just cut the shit, Naruto. How? And why are none of you freaking out because this is borderline magic to me and I know seals, she asked as she frantically gestured to the floating, makeshift bed. It's Naruto-kun, Ino summarized with a shrug. She didn't get it and trying to would give her wrinkles, so why bother? She just chalked it up to Naruto-kun's stuff and locked it in a box. Okay, I'm tired and you're doing things to my brain, but can you tell me how the sleeping bags are floating? Magnetic levitation, Naruto answered. Magnetic levitation, Tenten asked, unsure of the answer, and watched the Uzumaki nod. She wanted to press on but suspected that would only delay sleep, and she needed sleep as this apparent seal prodigy was going to drive her batty. Focused on Tenten's episode, Naruto hadn't realized there were 2 additional people in his bed. Haku being there didn't surprise him, but Hinata did. Hataki-sensei said a gentleman never assumes, so Naruto found it proper to ask, do you want me to sleep elsewhere, Hinata-chan? Of course not, the bed is big enough for all 3 of us, if Haku-chan doesn't mind sharing. Oh, I don't mind, Hinata-chan. Do you? It can be quite the adjustment, having to share what was once exclusively yours. No, I don't mind. Unless the person I'm sharing with is not doing so in good faith, then I use whatever means necessary to make sure sharing is never an issue again. Naruto didn't know why, but he felt their words had a deeper meaning than he was picking up, and their smiles were not regular smiles, but he shrugged it off as he wanted to get some sleep. After getting adjusted, the Uzumaki found himself sandwiched between Hinata-chan and Haku. Hinata-chan's back was pressed up against him and the girl would occasionally readjust, rubbing up against him in a way he didn't mind at all. Haku was behind him and periodically running her hands through his hair, which is something he enjoyed as well. He was a very content seal master at the moment. After everyone was settled, it was Ino that realized something obvious. Man, the lights are still on and I'm all comfy. Naruto, having no desire to move and having been forced out of bed to turn off the lights before, already had a solution. He clapped twice and the room went dark. What the shit? Tenten bellowed, her sanity fracturing. Whatever, good night. Good night, Ino repeated. Night, all, said the Yuki. Pleasant dreams, Hinata offered. Good night, Datbeo. Chapter 12. Naruto disliked alarm clocks. The noise, the bright, ugly display. He found waking up to one jarring, but realized modern life did not allow one to simply awaken naturally. People had schedules to keep and things that needed to get done. He, as he often would, turned to Fuinjutsu to solve this dilemma. Naruto created a seal that would mimic the natural process of leaving sleep. The seal is set to a timer and initiates the process an hour before Naruto is to awaken. It was with the help of Tsunade-sensei and Shizune-senpai Naruto completed it, as the seal regulated brain chemistry and body temperature. And while they cleared the use for him, the 2 senior medics still wanted to run tests before they applied it to individuals without rapid healing abilities. The Uzumaki agreed, seeing the logic of their caution. While Naruto greatly preferred this method of waking up to the old way, one downside is the seal doesn't naturally adapt to sleepovers. So, at 4 o'clock, Naruto was awake and alert while his guests were still slumbering peacefully. If Haku slept over, it generally wasn't a problem as she held him in a loose grip. However, Hinata-chan must have turned around at some point as the Hyuga heiress clung to him rather tightly. Naruto reasoned she must have gotten cold last night. He didn't mind her holding him so intently, but it did make extracting himself rather difficult. As even she would admit, Hinata didn't do early mornings. Sleeping in and cinnamon rolls were two of the indulgences she'd allow herself. He didn't want to anger his friend or start her day off bad. A part of him wondered if he should simply stay. Haku had a soothing chill to her, like a sip of iced tea on a hot day. And Hinata-chan was soft. And they both smelled really good. Naruto frowned slightly. He was not used to indecision of this nature. The right thing was clear. His Oji-san would say discipline is a discipline and good habits are forged over a lifetime but broken in a day. Getting up to begin his work was the correct path. But cool sips of iced tea as he laid on a soft blanket in a meadow of wildflowers tried to convince him otherwise. Naruto took a deep breath. He knew what he needed to do, but he would ask his Oji-san why he wavered, even if only briefly. Now, committed, Naruto moved on to figuring out how to get out of bed without waking up Hinata-chan. There wasn't anything around that could be used as a good replacement. Maybe if he could create a shadow clone and have it replace him. Naruto quickly dismissed that. He'd never done the jutsu seamlessly, though he resolved to change that. He'd also never tried with another person and didn't know the effects of it. The Uzumaki was stuck, physically and mentally, but he didn't panic. Naruto broke his problem down into smaller sections. He needed Hinata-chan to release him without her waking up. He needed to exit the bed while accomplishing the same. Hinata-chan's embrace, then, was the first issue. Naruto thought for a moment before covering his left hand in medical chakra. The blonde reasoned that relaxing Hinata-chan's muscles would cause her grip to loosen and he could get loose. Slowly and gently Naruto ran his fingertips up and down Hinata-chan's back, adding a slight circular motion to the strokes as well. The Hyuga's grip did start to relax, as Naruto had predicted, but he was not prepared for the gentle moans that escaped her lips. He once again, briefly, wondered if he should simply stay before rejecting the idea. Quickly, one of Hinata-chan's arms moved to her side. Naruto swiftly ended his technique and then smoothly lifted himself up and over his best friend, whipping his leg over her just in time for her to roll over to Haku. He stood still for a moment, and when he saw she was still asleep he exited the bedroom. Making a clone to attend to breakfast, Naruto sat at his desk. He didn't get to do as much in-person fuinjutsu work as his schedule was often full, but before his daily training, he liked to take time to create his agenda. His long-term goals were on hold until he learned the Hiraishin, but there were other projects he could tackle. First, Naruto was looking for ways to expand his offensive fuinjutsu, and the idea he'd come up with is what he labeled emitter discs. The discs would be slightly larger than a shuriken with bladed edges containing seals to make chakra flow easier. In the center of the disc would be a housing, likely metal, containing a multi-function seal, allowing Naruto to make them explode, shock or concuss his targets. He had some other ideas as well, but fitting multiple fully functional and distinct arrays within one matrix was slightly difficult. He figured his clones would need most of the morning to complete it. The Uzumaki's next idea was about his business. Naruto had several ideas for the consumer market, but one problem was that civilians could not use chakra. Naruto had been thinking of how to make his products consumer-friendly, as while the seals can be activated without chakra, they still needed to be powered by it, and that initial charge would initially run out. Naruto considered several possibilities. He toyed with the idea of a chakra battery and a subscription service to recharge them, but squashed that idea, at least partially. Chakra was dangerous. Giving it to people who knew little about it was putting them at risk. Instead, Naruto considered how to have the seals be powered by electricity. The plans the seal master drew up would have an adapter that could recharge the products without having to ever plug them up. The seals simply drew from the charger when the products were low on power. Naruto even created plans to have adapters be designed for a set number of seals, as in not all adapters could seamlessly charge 10 distinct seals, but some would. Naruto knew that there would be a consequence to this. Most directly it would increase the strain on Konoha's electric grid. Having considered that problem led Naruto to his third project. Infrastructure was always a prime target in hidden villages and security always a priority. Naruto wondered if a way to protect their power grid would be to make it so diffuse, simply no one could attack it in its entirety. Naruto wanted to create seals that could turn solar energy into electricity. Naruto got the idea from the natural energy in Anko-chan's seal and how the toad oil could channel it. If he could design such a seal, the resource would be renewable, and best yet is that said seals could be applied to the surrounding trees of Konoha's expansive forests, on the very buildings, or an apparatus designed specifically for that. Seals for battery storage could be applied so people didn't simply lose the power they didn't use, and the best thing of all, no one would really have to know where the real source of power came from. The old plants could remain, giving potential threats a target that wasn't as valuable as they assumed. Lastly, as he did every morning, Naruto wrote down Haku's lesson plan for the day. Her calligraphy was already good, so she'd likely be at a level to draw basic seals in a few weeks. She was also very smart, so she was understanding much of the introductory theory. Naruto did as his Oji-san advised and tried not to go too fast or confuse her with too much detail. It was hard, but Haku was really patient, so his clones did their best. With his plans drawn for today, Naruto sat at the table to eat a light breakfast of oatmeal with berries, 2 hard-boiled eggs, and some green tea. Naruto ate his meal in silence as the clone cleaned up. Once finished, Naruto slipped back into his room to grab a change of clothes, changing in the bathroom, and then departed for his workout. When he stepped outside, the air was brisk and he could see his breath. Naruto applied his resistance seals, slightly increasing the level from the day previous, and then took off. He raced across the rooftops, the wind rushing through his hair. Naruto enjoyed his morning runs. He'd enjoyed running since he was a boy. Moving faster and faster, changing levels as he moved from the center of the village to the training grounds. Being able to not think about anything but still aware, ready to react if need be. It was peaceful. Approaching rapidly, Naruto could see something in the distance. As he neared, he realized it was a person, and someone he hadn't expected to see. Naruto slowed into a light jog before stopping right before the individual. "Hataki-sensei," Naruto greeted. "Naruto-kun," he greeted back with an eye smile while putting his book away. "I wasn't sure to expect you given you had overnight guests. How was it, by the way?" "It was enjoyable, I bet. 3 girls in your apartment really should be." "4, Hataki-sensei." "There were 4, Naruto corrected. "Even better," Kakashi replied. "So, what are you doing here?" "Oh, I got lost on the road of life and thought I'd stay here just in case you came by. I believe I owe you some Doden Jutsu, yes?" "Ah, yes, good. Now I am going to amend our deal just a bit. One jutsu I'm going to teach you is C rank, but I have someone coming by to teach you another. The 2 I'm giving you will aid you in performing the 3rd. As we hadn't reached an accord previously, I accept the amendment in good faith," Naruto said, holding out his hand. Kakashi shook it without a second thought. "Excellent. Now, create some clones and divide them into 2 groups, Kakashi ordered, then created a shadow clone of himself. Naruto followed suit, creating 9 shadow clones. "Alright, real Naruto and clone group 1 with me. I'll be teaching you the Earth style. Earth Flow River, while my clone will teach group 2 the Earth style. Tearing Earth Turning Palm," Kakashi informed the Chibi army. He performed the Earth technique slowly, showing each hand sign with a pause and then describing how the chakra should be molded and channeled into the feet. The Narutos listened intently, and Kakashi felt he was being observed by his sensei again, blue eyes absorbing every detail, noting every flaw and planning for use in ways no one would ever expect. Kakashi simply watched as his student dedicated themselves, to the task of learning the 2 new jutsu. First, they each went through the hand signs, slowly but gradually speeding up. Next, they tried channeling chakra to it. Once they saw an effect, they tried to use more or less to see the impact. 45 minutes into the practice, the unnamed special guest finally arrived. "God, you really start this early every day, kid?" Jiraiya asked, approaching Kakashi and Naruto. Naruto squinted at the man. He didn't know how to feel about Jiraiya, as he'd never stayed mad at anyone, but he thought the man had been inconsiderate. Jiraiya saw Naruto's face and took it to mean his godson was still cross with him. "Hey, before you lay into me, just let me talk, okay?" Naruto nodded, not bothering to correct the man. I overreacted. You were right, I don't want you to adjust the seal. I am terrified if you do you will harm yourself and the village. I should have told you that instead of delaying your ability to remove Anko's seal. I'll talk to her later to apologize. Naruto nodded again. It was as he thought. The man was irrational. His Oji-san had explained sentimentality to him once, saying fondness or love can affect one's view of situations. Naruto asked if that meant emotions should be kept out of decision-making, and his Oji-san stated that was incorrect as well. He said it was not emotion in itself that was an enemy to rational thinking, but an inability to balance emotion against other considerations or facts. His Oji-san said humans were emotional beings, and to ignore that would be no more logical than ignoring the sky is blue. What will you be teaching me today? Naruto asked. So, we're good. Naruto tilted his head. He didn't know what the Sannin was expecting. Yes. Jiraiya speedily performed his hand signs and watched as the training ground became a mud pit. This is the Earth style. Swamp of the underworld, Jiraiya announced, turning around to see 10 Narutos stroking their chins. I can put this to good use, the original said. Kakashi gave his student a thumbs up. Jiraiya wondered if he'd just resigned himself to being stuck in his own jutsu the next time he pissed the kid off. In his office, overlooking the training of his grandson, Hiruzen wondered if most of his ninjas simply lacked common sense. He'd instructed Jiraiya on how to make up with Naruto, telling the man to just be honest and straight with his godson, or if he can't, cut a deal. He certainly didn't say give a 12-year-old A-rank ninjutsu. But Jiraiya's overindulgence was really on a cherry atop his annoyance. Sunday, as his Anbu commander, 2 advisors and Danzo were all in his office bothering him. The degree of annoyance was multiplied by them initiating a conversation they'd already had. Sandaime-sama, he's wasted as a genin. He removed the cursed seal, something we all thought impossible. That has to be promotion-worthy, his Anbu commander argued. The upper tiers of the village heard rumors of Naruto's sealing ability, but a lot of what would make a seal master gape in awe was simply too advanced for others. Many of his ninja found the Fuin bracelets neat, not understanding the true complexity of their creation. But when you do the impossible, even if it isn't understood how, people take notice. Even if it were, he would not be going into Anbu once he was Chunin. He will never be an Anbu, Hiruzen stated, firmly. The long-serving Hokage was willing to let Naruto chart his path, but as long as he held breath in his body he'd never allow his grandson to join the elite organization. According to Kakashi, he has the maturity and mindset for it. And with his sealing ability, his primary role could be of an instructor, only taking the occasional mission, the commander pushed back. Naruto-kun doesn't need to be in a situation that encourages him to repress his emotions, Anbu does just that. He is building bonds now. I won't have his progress stalled or undone. You are thinking as a grandfather, Hiruzen, not a Hokage. His skills could be put to better use and Team 7 could find someone else to better balance them, Koharu argued. Sasuke, Naruto, and even Kakashi were all VIPs as far as the village was concerned, and it irked Koharu they were all on one team. If something went wrong during a mission, the lost potential would be tremendous. Quickly and quietly promoting Naruto and then sending him elsewhere alleviated that concern. There was also another reason she wanted Naruto away from Team 7, but she'd keep that a secret for now. I am both of those things and many more. They are not hats I simply put on, Koharu. But what you don't seem to understand is I am thinking about the village and its best interests. Anbu is limiting by its nature. I take pride in all my agents, but they are not encouraged to interact with the world. Naruto's many developments are, at least partially, inspired him being able to do just that. Think of how many advancements we'd miss out on because he was in Anbu HQ or running Black Op missions. Maybe, there is a compromise to be made, Homura offered, as he was always the peacemaker of the foursome. It is the consensus that regardless of if you will or not, Naruto-kun is deserving of rank other than Genin. The Chunin exams are fast approaching, so it is understandable you'd want him to participate in them. It is also the case that the team is unbalanced. Maybe, while we assign a different Genin from the other teams to sub in with Team 7, we put Naruto-kun on a different team. One led by Jiraiya. And who would his teammates be? We can't just pull Genin from the reserves, Koharu pointed out, they'd still be unbalanced. Why? The former apprentice to the Demon of the Mist and Danzo's student. They know Naruto-kun, both are closer to his overall skill level, in some areas eclipsing him. Neither will be put off by his rapid rate of growth nor his unique personality. Jiraiya could train them well, ensuring Naruto-kun's Chunin exam performance will be the showcase you want it to be, Homura put forward. Danzo, Hiruzen asked, wanting the former Root commander's thoughts. If you aren't going to promote him or give him a new permanent team, then this is the next best option. Kakashi will make sure they can still function as a team for the exams. Fine, I'll inform Jiraiya later today. Now, is there anything else? The third Fire Shadow asked. I request desserts be returned to the Anbu dining hall, the commander said. Denied, Hiruzen answered, and the commander slumped in defeat. After training with Hatake-sensei and Jiraiya, Naruto headed straight for the hospital. He had a shift in Konoha's main clinic and could clean himself up in the staff locker room. Naruto slipped in unnoticed, showered and changed. He normally preferred to wear orange, but Ino-chan was insistent he could not wear orange every day, and Hinata-chan said the color made his patients on edge as orange signaled a warning of imminent danger. He compromised and was wearing navy blue pants and a hunter green, V-neck long-sleeve t-shirt. Naruto finished the outfit with a white lab coat. The first time Naruto wore that outfit in the hospital, the first time he attended to his studies and to patients without a henge, he caused a panic with the senior staff. No matter what biases they held, they simply couldn't unsee it. The miniature version of a legendary ninja that wore similar colors, had the same hair and eyes. Several long-serving medical ninja ran to Tsunade for confirmation. They did not expect to be in a closed-door session with Tsunade, the Sandame, and a platoon of Anbu. The Hokage confirmed nothing but said if what they suspected were true, it would be an S-ranked secret, and unknowingly sharing S-ranked secrets could still get them executed. None of the staff dared inquire further. Naruto didn't know about the session, didn't know the effect his clothing choices had. He did see people looking at him with weird expressions, and when they caught him looking at them, instead of turning away they smiled. They were also more talkative than he was used to, but he liked listening to people talk, so he didn't mind. Naruto checked in, letting the staff know he was ready to receive patients, and walked into his exam room. Clinic duties were, initially, very difficult for the Uzumaki. People often didn't describe their ailments well, didn't give him a full accounting for them, or often waited until he was about to dismiss them before telling him the real issue. Tsunade-sensei groaned about doorknob questions when he mentioned that last thing. She and Shizune instructed him on how to better put his patients at ease, as well as how to connect the dots, as often people seeking treatment didn't know what was or wasn't relevant. There had been minor progress, but he still had a long way to go. What was working in the young medic's favor was he simply didn't judge people for what others would find embarrassing. Because he didn't have to try to not feel shame, his patients didn't sense any condemnation coming from him. Naruto checked over his exam room, making sure everything was in place, and then simply waited. Soon she heard a knock at the door and watched as two familiar women entered. Blue eyes looked impassively at pale brown and ruby red. The eyes of both women widened, though for different reasons. Like the medical staff days previous, Enko had just put something together. Kurenai was simply embarrassed that Uzumaki-kun would be the one treating her. She really should have stayed in bed. 45 minutes before their arrival at the hospital, Kurenai awoke with a searing headache and pronounced feeling of nausea. The room was spinning, and she was sure if she'd try to move too fast she'd fall off the planet. It was clear, she'd overindulged again. Taking some deep breaths and fighting through her discomfort, Kurenai realized she was not in her bed, which means she was not in her home. The room didn't have any scents of tobacco or sandalwood, so she knew she couldn't be with Asuma. That left one person, and Kurenai hoped her friend wouldn't do what Kurenai knew she was going to do. This is your glorious wake-up call from the sexy and single Enko Midarashi, sweet cheeks. Enko shouted and then cackled when Kurenai winced in pain. Good, the snake mistress thought, her friend needed to learn not to drink so heavily. Kill me now, Kurenai pleaded, earning a softer laugh from Enko. Now, why would I do that? Mercy, PFF'd, I ain't had that since my balls dropped. Enko, you don't have those. You're a lady, remember? Kurenai said, patronizingly. Enko-chan might be a damn fine woman, but she ain't never been no lady, dig it? Enko said, fist pumping in the air. Kurenai simply covered her head with the blanket, hoping Anko would go away and let her die in peaceful misery. The genjutsu mistress knew she wouldn't be so fortunate when she felt the mattress sink slightly under the weight of Anko joining her. "Anko, please leave me be," Kurenai pleaded. "No can do, toots. I have one more day off and I wanna spend it with my sister from another mister. Which means we have to get you dried out in a hurry." "Fine, just let me get showered and borrow some clothes," Kurenai said, and Anko nodded vigorously, then stepped out of her bedroom. It was slow going, but Kurenai did manage to shower and change. Even made it to the hospital's clinic without losing her non-existent lunch. Being Junin, they get seen a little faster and both welcomed the preferential treatment, Kurenai most of all. That is until she walked in the exam room and saw Uzumaki-kun looking at her. "How can I help you today?" Naruto asked, causing each of the veteran kunoichi to realize they hadn't fully entered the room yet. Kurenai walked to the exam table, Anko grabbing a seat beside her. "Kurenai-chan got overserved last night and needs help managing her hangover," Anko said. Kurenai shot her a dark look, but the special Junin merely shrugged. "There are places that make alcohol consumption compulsory. I should alert OJ-san. This could be a public health risk," Naruto said, retrieving a drink from a cold storage unit. "No, Uzumaki-kun, it was not compulsory. No one forced me." Anko was simply being colorful in her description. Naruto didn't turn around, but Kurenai heard a hum and took it as him understanding her. Once the blonde had all his items, he placed the drink down along with 2 tablets in a paper cup. "The drink will cure the dehydration, the tablets will ease your headache. Are you still feeling slightly intoxicated, Yuhi-sensei?" "No, just nauseous," she replied. Naruto nodded and then performed 3 hand signs, causing his left hand to glow green. He placed it over Kurenai's midsection and the teammate sensei immediately felt her symptom alleviate. Kurenai smiled while saying, "Thank you, Uzumaki-kun." "You are welcome, Yuhi-sensei. Is there anything else I can help you with today?" Naruto asked, and Kurenai shook her head no. Anko, however, had a question. "Hey, Chibi, if you can cure her nausea, why not her headache as well?" One of the responsibilities of a medical ninja is tightly regulating how much chakra they suspend. I have no idea how many patients I will see before my shift is over, so some ailments I treat pharmacologically. As people rarely vomit due to headaches but do so quite often due to nausea, I felt it logical to see to the one that may require cleanup. That makes a lot of sense. One last question, do you know where either your sensei or Jiraiya are? The floating leaf hot springs, Naruto responded, and Anko grabbed Kurenai as she dashed out of the exam room, Kurenai barely having time to finish her nutrient-replenishing drink. Anko drugged Kurenai out of the hospital and then hastily performed shunshin, residing just outside the hot springs. As Anko continued to lead Kurenai by the wrist, the red-eyed Junin finally had enough, breaking Anko's grip. "What is wrong with you, Anko? I think I know something about Chibi, but there are only a few people that can confirm it. Kakashi and Jiraiya would be on that list. Now, come on." Kurenai was tempted to refuse, but let her curiosity override the impulse. Neither Jiraiya nor Kakashi were hard to find, the two hiding in some bushes, giggling like schoolgirls. "Yo, Kakashi," Anko called out, getting the man's attention. He, along with Jiraiya, departed from the bush, both tensing as they expected a beating. Anko recognized the body language and scoffed. "I'm not here to beat your perverted asses, I have a question about your student." "Oh, which one?" "I have 3, Kakashi said with an eye smile. "The only one I would give 2 shits about, Hitaki. Now, stop being funny and one of you throw up a privacy barrier." The Toad Sage looked at the dog summoner in brief confusion, but Jiraiya complied. "It should be safe to speak now, Anko-chan. What is it about Naruto? I'll cut to the chase, is he the Yondaime's S?" Anko didn't even get to finish as she had a kunai poking at her right lung, Kakashi's eye smile seeming more predatory now. Both kunoichi tensed, Kurenai still out of the loop. Ma, Anko-chan," Kakashi said as Jiraiya was palming his face. "Haim needs to make that kid change his damn hospital uniform," Jiraiya grumbled. Kurenai, still slightly addled, was trying her best to figure out what was happening. It took her a few moments of deep concentration, the fog of the hangover a real impediment, before she came to the conclusion Anko hadn't gasped. "No, that's Kurenai didn't finish her thought or couldn't, she had too many running through her mind. She wondered how different he would be if people had known or if he would have even survived long enough for it to matter. Is that why he was able to remove Orochimaru's seal from me? Anko asked as Kakashi finally removed the kunai from her. I can't answer that. I have no idea how much of his sealing talent is epigenetic or a consequence of his condition or whatever. You two have stumbled upon what is quickly becoming the second worst kept secret of the village, Jiraiya said, annoyance clear in his tone. We knew it would happen one day. We can't stop him growing nor outlaw him from wearing Konoha's colors, Kakashi said. He'd been okay with sending the hospital staff on a long vacation but the Sandaime vehemently refused. Kakashi understood, but two people can only keep a secret if one of them is dead. It would soon spread that Naruto was obviously the son of Minato-sensei. I know, damn it. I was counting on the villagers and ninja continuing that impressive streak of sincere stupidity to protect him. Hey, Anko shouted in protest but clammed up at Jiraiya's hard look. You've seen the kid several times. He literally removed a nearly impossible to remove seal from you and you only noticed the resemblance because the Gaki was almost literally in a Yondaime Hokage costume, Jiraiya argued, and neither Kunoichi could disagree. Things were silent for almost a minute before Kurenai chimed in. Well, Hinata-chan certainly has good taste, Kurenai said with a giggle, breaking the tension within the foursome. Hinata-chan? Ino asked, sleepily from Naruto's bed. Yes, Ino-chan, Hinata replied from the same location. Can we just stay here? For forever? Ino asked, and the Yamanaka wasn't sure if she was joking or not. She hadn't spent a great deal of time in Naruto's apartment, and certainly never overnight. She had no idea how insanely comfortable and accommodating the place was. Self-heating towels, heated floors, high thread count sheets that smelled of citrus and warming spices. Oh, and best yet, a clone that'll cook for you and pick up after you and could probably totally kick ass if need be. I'm not sure your father, clan, nor Naruto-kun could allow that, Ino-chan. Oh, then I may have to steal him from you. Sorry in advance, Ino replied. But what about your dear Sasuke-kun? Would you so callously abandon him for a little comfort? That would be shallow, wouldn't it? Very, the Hyuga heiress replied. Well, what about all that work I've put in? What other boys around our age know how to shop with a woman? Or will let her pick out clothes for him without complaint? Or can dance? I've put in a lot of work here. And I thank you, Hinata said, but Ino was too deep into her musings to pay it any mind. He's going to be a doctor. Who doesn't want to date a doctor? You're getting lost in the thread count, Ino-chan. Come back to me, back to reality. Both girls laughed at Hinata's call. Fine, fine, I'm back. Besides, you're right, my heart is with Sasuke-kun. It just sucks. I've liked him for so long. I've been friends with Shikamaru and Choji for years, and I think Naruto-kun has paid more attention to me the few months we've been friends than any of the others. Give it time, Ino-chan. I'm sure Sasuke-kun will notice you eventually, Hinata said. Yay, I won't lose to forehead, Ino exclaimed. Indeed. Then, I'll steal you away from him. Yay. Wait, what? It is fate, Ino-chan. You cannot fight fate, Hinata said as she began to tickle Ino relentlessly. The Yamanaka heiress tried to fight her friend off, but her counters were ineffectual. It was not Ino's pleading that stopped Hinata's assault but the loud thud they heard from outside the bedroom. Both were up and out of the bedroom in speeds befitting their rank. When they entered the main room they saw Tenten with her head on the table and a clone Naruto rubbing her back. What's wrong, Tenten-chan? Hinata asked in concern. Oh, just a technique I spent months learning and perfecting. Naruto improves it in like 5 minutes. She said she'd make more puppy chow if I did, the clone added, while the other clones, all reading books on electrical engineering but nodded in agreement. Oh, what did you do, Naruto-kun? Ino asked, and Naruto looked at Tenten as if requesting permission. The Team 9 Kunoichi nodded and Naruto briefly described the original technique before going into his improvements. So with just a few additional components, the projectiles can hone in on a specific chakra signature for a short duration and distance. I didn't know you could do something like that, Ino said. Well, chakra signature recording isn't new and it was only a few steps from making an object track said signature. Pretty straightforward, the clone said, and Tenten had to fight the urge to grab at her hair while shouting if it were so freaking simple she'd done it already. But she was going to follow Ino's advice and put it in a mental box labeled Naruto things. The trio of Kunoichi continued to talk about things as the Naruto clones studied until they were interrupted by a knock at the door. One clone opened it to see someone he would not have expected. "Hello, Mizuki-san," the clone said. "I believe you mean Mizuki-sensei, Uzumaki," the Chunin said frostily. "No, I neither like nor respect you enough for that. What can I do for you?" Mizuki sneered at the little demon's response, repressing the urge to strike him. "It's about Konohamaru," Mizuki started and then subconsciously took a step back when the demon approached him. "Has he been harmed?" the demon said, trying to fake a showing of concern. "I will explain on the way, come with me now. I am a clone, I will alert the original and he will meet you at the academy where a full accounting of events will need to be provided without delay." The sentence ended with the closing of the door and Mizuki bit back several curses as he returned to the academy. What Mizuki hadn't noticed were the steely gazes of the Kunoichi within Naruto's apartment nor the cruel smile of the Yuki observing from above. Back at the hospital, the original received the memories of the dispelled clone. He created one to stay at the hospital while informing the check-in station of his need to leave. The attendant gave him permission and Naruto shunshin to the academy, entering with due haste. He arrived at Iruka-sensei's classroom and saw Konohamaru and 3 other boys, each having visibly been in a fight. Naruto marched over to Konohamaru, not even acknowledging Iruka-sensei, tending to his little brother's busted lip. "Please explain," Naruto said to no one in particular. "Konohamaru-kun got into a fight," Iruka said and felt dumb when Naruto simply looked at him as to remind the academy instructor that was quite obvious. "I don't know why, but Konohamaru threw the first punch. He's refused to say why, however fighting like this is unacceptable." "What happened, Kono-chan?" Naruto asked and Konohamaru looked down, averting Naruto's gaze. "Kono-chan, I am not upset but I require the details." They called you some names, Ni-chan-sai kicked their butts, core." "Konohamaru, what could they have said to make you want to fight?" asked Iruka-sensei. "They called Ni-chan a retard, said their parents called him that all the time." "Maybe I can't fight their parents but I'll bust those losers up," Konohamaru said. The 3 boys flinched when Iruka-sensei sent them a hard glare. "We don't use language like that in this academy and we don't disrespect shinobi of this village that are trusted to protect it with their lives, you boys understand me?" The Chunin asked and received a trio of affirmative responses. "Konohamaru, I understand why you would be upset but fighting wasn't the way to go." "I agree," Naruto stated and Iruka-sensei smiled at Naruto being responsible. They had superior numbers and witnesses. If you need to punish them for their words, there were superior methods. A disinformation campaign that made them pariahs would be emotionally devastating and if conducted correctly would be hard to trace back to you. A minor poison administered over several weeks that made them lose control over their bowels was a viable option, Naruto said, stroking his chin. Iruka-sensei was mortified especially since he couldn't correct his former student. Those were all tried and true ninja tactics and he couldn't speak out against them. "I don't know poisons yet, Ni-chan." "Ah. We'll work on that." Instead, a series of escalating pranks would have sufficed. Or, at the very least, wait to attack when you had the advantage. I must have had the advantage. Yes, but I bet you worked harder and took more damage than you had to. What about Moegi-chan and Udon? I told them to stay out of it, Konohamaru said and smiled when he saw his brother nod in acknowledgement. Good instincts, you protected your team but next time bring them in. Plan ahead instead of just reacting and leave no evidence. Iruka-sensei can't punish you because he expects you've done something and if he ever tries I'll put him in a scroll like I did Ebisu-san, Naruto said as he ran his fingers through Kono-chan's hair. Iruka-sensei wasn't thrilled by that threat but the Sarutobi smiled, knowing his big brother wasn't really like this with anyone else. Before our movie night, we're going to be training. I have my doubts you're prepared to fight multiple enemies at once. Hi, if there is nothing else I need to return to the hospital, Naruto said to Iruka-sensei. The man replied in the negative and let his former, and oddly favorite, student go while smiling fondly. Naruto exited the academy building but instead of going back to the hospital, he made a detour to the Hokage Tower. His timing was fortunate as he gained entrance to see his Oji-san without delay. Hello, Naruto-kun. What can I do for you today? Hello, Oji-san. I cannot stay long but I have something to inform you about and a question, Naruto said. Please continue, Hiruzen encouraged. Kono-chan got into a fight at the academy. Apparently, some boys were calling me names and Kono-chan defend me. Do not worry, I lectured him about the more appropriate methods of responding to such a situation. Like telling Iruka, Hiruzen asked, hoped, like subterfuge and psychological warfare or guerrilla tactics. I did not believe it acceptable to make Iruka-sensei his agent in a retaliatory effort, Oji-san. No, of course not. I was being silly, Hiruzen replied with a sliver of amusement. What will you do in response? I will begin training him to fight multiple parties at once before our movie night. That seems appropriate. Make sure you drill him on minding his surroundings, he still struggles with that, Hiruzen added. Naruto nodded so the Sandaime continued, okay. Now what is your question? Is it usual to not want to leave your bed if you have two women in it? Hinata-chan and Haku were in bed with me and I almost delayed my schedule because of it, the blonde informed the Hokage. Hiruzen had a tick mark and muttered something about lucky little brats before answering, I wouldn't know, Naruto-kun. That response surprised Naruto as he was sure his Oji-san knew almost everything he'd come to experience in his life. Could you try it and let me know? Naruto asked and Hiruzen's tick mark grew as he heard the muffled snickers of his Anbu guard. If I find two willing women you will be the first person I tell. Thank you, Oji-san. I have to return to the hospital but I will see you later. Of course, Naruto-kun. Have an excellent day, he bid his grandson. When the blonde left Hiruzen had to endure the laughter of his guards but the professor would have the last laugh as he said, just for that, you will all be my sparring partners for the weekend. No one but the old man was laughing after that. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video be sure to like, comment and subscribe as well as checking out the author on fanfiction.net.